Hello everyone, welcome to this new video. I know it's been a while, but here we are again. In this video we will learn how to use variables in C#, and in the previous video we already made this small program that prints out hello world if you run it. So let's see if it still works. Boom, there we go, it still works, obviously. Alright, so now, what are variables? Well, a variable is basically a container that stores some information. So let's make one of those containers, shall we? Let's make an int, and let's call it number, and is equal to, let's say, 10. And be sure to close it. So what did we just write? We just made an integer with the name number, and we just gave it a value 10. So this is the container. It's a, let's say, in real life you have like the blue containers and the red containers and the yellow containers. Well, this is an integer container. And what do we store in integer containers? Well, we store numbers. And 10 is a number. So now you may be asking, why the hell would I use this? Well, let's for example write here in our console.write line, let's, instead of hello world, let's write number. And let's just see what it does if we run the program. And as you can see, my antivirus. But as you can see, the program prints out 10, which is what we would expect, because an integer stored the number 10, and you can call this integer by calling number, because that's the name of the integer, right? Now, okay, we know how to store numbers. Now, can we also store text? And yes, we can. What is text? A text is a string container. So a string, let's call it text. And let's set it equal to quote unquote, hello, I am super awesome. Okay, and now what happens if you say text here in the right line? Now let's run it. And as you can see, it says, hello, I am super awesome. As we would expect, of course. Alright. So we know we can store numbers in an integer container. We can store text in a string container. Now there's also some other containers which are less useful, but you will sometimes need them. So there's the float. The float number 2, set it equal to 2.45 and close it. So a float can store numbers with a comma. So you use a dot, not a comma. You use a dot for a comma in programming. So a float can store 2.45, because if you would try this 2.45 here in the integer, you will get an error here, as you can see. You cannot implicitly convert double to int, so we have to set it to 10. And also you have an error here, literally of double type cannot be implicitly typed to float. So what we have to do is put an F here, and then it will be fixed. If you make a float, it's a common usage to always put an F behind your number. And of course we can also print out the number to float, and then we have 2.45. And as you can see here, it does use the comma, although here we used the dot, right? But that's just how C# works. That's something cool. Another thing is a char, and let's call it character is equal to a. A character can only store one letter, and you have to use this one quotation mark, so not a double quotation marks. And then you can also print it, of course. So no, not char. If you do char, it won't work. You get an error. you have to do character. You always have to call the name and not the not the container type, the variable type. Okay, as you can see, that works. Now in the numbers we also have one more. Well, we have a couple more. We have a double number 3. Number 3, and it's very similar to a float, but it can store less information. So a double is less useful, but it also uses less processing power, of course, because it has to, it doesn't need as much information as a float does. So you also don't have to put the F here, of course. You can just remove that. And yeah, that's basically it for variables. In the next video, we will do some cool things with variables. We will add them together. We will do some very cool things. But yeah, you can already do some stuff with this and figure out what variables can store what kind of things. But yeah, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next tutorial, I guess. Thanks for watching, guys.